So anyway, we're talking about Stanley Jordan.
Yeah.
And one time you were talking about me and I used to do the keyboard things, like influenced by Arthur, like later on in the street. And Stanley came up to me and gave me props, man. We used to play the same corner. I never seen anybody get a crowd in a music store like Stanley Jordan, though. But Arthur could too, I heard. I never saw Arthur in the music store.
Yeah, Stanley, my greatest Stanley Jordan story was in 55 Grand. The first night Stanley Jordan walked into 55 Grand and walked on stage, because you know it was pretty much like an open stage kind of thing where you can walk in and 2-3 songs down the line you could be up on stage jamming.
Oh really?
Well, it wasn't like an open jam, but the cats were nice enough to let.
Did they know Stanley at that time?
It was more the atmosphere was more feeling out who was who at the time. You know, Stanley wasn't Stanley.
And who was playing? But Mike Stern was playing. Who was playing?
Some group, Buddy Williams and those guys used to be in there, and all those guys, you know. And Stanley walked up on stage, and as soon as he started playing, I saw some guys literally get up and walk out like they were going to throw their guitar off the roof and jump behind it. I was pretty blown.
What year was this?
This was, it had to be like almost around, like right around maybe, I want to say like 80, you know, like it was right around when Eternity was finished at that time. I had about a year in between where I wasn't really doing any music.
Club 55 was around then?
55 Grand. Yeah.
And Buddy was a regular there?
It was in the 80s. It was no, well, it was just kind of, the club was there, but it was just kind of, people would just kind of float in and out. It was cultivating into the 55 Grand that had that, you know, big
there,
name. It wasn't quite there yet. And I remember that night well. Stanley walked in and it was like, you just saw like everybody was sitting down and they watched him. And then you just see 5 guys like just get up and walk out.
Wow. I remember every time he walked into the log conventions on the guitar down, every time he walked into he'd start playing immediately a throng of people around. But my friend said Arthur glad that you know what I we should say for the camera also. Arthur, now there's some people this may not mean anything, but for a guy to do all that stuff, Eddie Matthews had a story. You know what story I'm going to tell now?
No.
Remember Mike Matthews?
Mike Matthews.
He did all the pedal, all the delays,
Mike Matthews,
and the EQs. He had a store on 48th Street, and he sponsored a. What was the prize? Was it $1,000? Was it? He sponsored a guitar competition for the tri-state area.
Yeah.
And Arthur won.
Oh
Did
yeah?
you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It was a battle. There's like a lot of guitar players from New York, Brooklyn, from every borough. From Jersey also was open.
Yeah.
In Staten Island, Arthur won.
Arthur won hands down.
I mean, all these guys here playing, you know, whatever, you know, Eddie Van Halen type stuff, and Arthur won hands down. You know, one time we were playing, Holdsworth came by.
Oh yeah.
For those of you who don't know now, Holdsworth is arguably the greatest player on the planet, all around.
I love Alan.
Yeah. Alan is really a phenomenon, and you can't compare Arthur and you can compare
actually,
Arthur and McLaughlin.
Yeah, Holdsworth is actually underrated.
Well, I don't know because he's on the cover of this month's Guitar Player.
Well,
again.
maybe they're starting to get hit. But if you listen,
and the caption says, it says he's been around. Eddie Van Halen produced him, and he's better than you are. And had every guitar player commenting. John McLaughlin saying, "When I steal your stuff if I could do it, but I can't." Carlos Santana saying, "Me and John McLaughlin listen to him and scratch our heads."
Yeah. I sometimes when I was doing some contracting work, I was working in a big building. I would just put on some Alan Holdsworth music and just enjoy myself.
No dancing today?
No. Okay.
So one time Alan Holdsworth came by. You know what? Arthur had this thing too. It was also kind of healthy. Arthur had no respect for named people. Like he always said, Arthur, it's so and so, you know. And he just right there. He said, I'm playing more music than them. Let me come on stage with them. Who are they? They're just somebody that you've been brainwashed, that you've heard a lot about. He's got a lot of press. They're just nobody special, you know. So when Holdsworth came by, and he didn't stop. We were playing like Cold, we were playing Impressions or something on 50th and Broadway. Well, you know, walk by looking down. I said, Alan Holdsworth. this is after Believe It came out, you know, Tony Williams' lifetime. This is in the 80s. And he didn't care, and he kept saying, I said, Arthur, come on, man, you know, everybody's different. I mean, you know, you're really great. And I knew how great Arthur was at this point. I said, Alan's Alan. It's not what you do. He does something different. Come on, he's one of the greatest. He goes, you put me on stage with Alan Holdsworth. I'm telling you, Charles, you put me on stage. And you know what? He probably would have beat him just on stage. He probably would have came out just audience-wise.
He wasn't lacking confidence, that's for sure.
He wasn't. He was going to blow Holdsworth away. And this debate went on for a couple of days. I said, you got to give it up to Holdsworth, man. And he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Well, you know, I think that I was kind of evaluating that in my own head, and I kind of wrote a little bit about it on the side. I think that for a guy as good as he was, you know, if I were to take that talent and put that type of talent in a few people I know out there now, they would be some big egomaniacs. You know, they wouldn't be as. Arthur was humble, comparatively speaking, to some of the cats. No, to some of the cats who, out there right now, who if they had his talent, what kind of egos they would have.
Sure, man.
You wouldn't be able to talk to someone.
Oh, sure. You can't anyway. Even
you can't now. Right, exactly.
Yeah, but I remember, you know, thinking that I disagreed with him, and Alan was like, he was a complete guitar player. But if Arthur did sit in with Holdsworth and Arthur got to pick the tunes, it'd be interesting just because he thought he could. And by force of will, Arthur did a lot of stuff, man. You know?
Yeah.
He built himself up like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, you know, come on. Arthur's will is not something to be trifled with or minimized, you know? And like, I said, okay, you know, maybe I'm wrong, you know? Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it was interesting because, like I said, I mean, of the three of us, I felt like I was the least of them. Musically, I'm speaking. In the sense that, Adrian was seasoned at like 9, 10 years of age. Arthur was a genius, you know. And here it is me, I'm just this cat who started playing Peter Gunn on my cousin's guitar, you know.
Like when you were how old?
You know, I was in my teens.
Oh, really?
Maybe, yeah, in my teens.
How long were you playing when you met Arthur?
Well, I had just really, actually, I didn't even have I had just got a bass, maybe the last a year or two.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You were playing with fingers, not a pick, right?
Yeah, I was playing with fingers. But I had just gotten my bass. I mean, I think what happened was that I played saxophone the last year in high school. No, last year one of the no, I think it was either in the 11th grade or something like that in high school, and they allowed me to take the instrument home that year. And that's how I ended up getting my first gig with Greg and the Mystic Souls. You know, so I got a gig for the summer with those guys, and I would come to rehearsal, and as a result of making it to rehearsal too early so I could play his bass, I got fired by the end of the summer. So that was just a summer gig for me.
What were you playing?
I was playing alto in the group.
Were you playing dances or?
No, we were playing like you know, the typical like Kool and the Gang type stuff. You know,
were you playing at clubs or?
Park concerts and stuff like that. So we did it, you know, like little gigs, and we didn't do a whole lot. I think I only remember doing maybe 1 or 2 gigs.
Arthur was a huge Kool and the Gang fan. You know, Arthur never listened to jazz. He never listened to. He always listened. He carried a boombox with him when we went from corner to corner to play jazz. But he loved tunes. Like he loved Kool and the Gang. He went to go see me at Radio City Music Concert. I was there. They turned it out. They turned it out. He loved Kool and he loved Howard Johnson. So fine, blow my mind. Ooh, when you remember that song?
Yeah.
I step across the floor. I really like it, baby. Did you buy my set so fine? Blow my mind. Ooh. Oh man. Oh, he had it on tape.
Yeah.
Over and over, and also trap.